During the second half of the 19th century, young men flocked to the growing industrial cities of America. In 1851, the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA, was formed to provide Christian fellowship and to promote a healthy lifestyle. Sports came to be employed as a major vehicle to keep young men entertained and sheltered from the temptations of the street. Gymnasiums sprung up all over America, and the YMCA created its first school in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1885 to train physical directors to carry out its national program of physical and moral education. New sports such as basketball were invented there, and YMCA membership grew to include men of all ages. But basketball was found to be too strenuous for middle-aged businessmen. So a young physical director at nearby Holyoke YMCA, William Morgan, began experimenting with a new, more genteel game. In 1895, he created a new sport, volleyball.
William G. Morgan is the inventor of volleyball. He was born in Buffalo, New York, and he actually went to Northfield Mount Hermon. And while he was there, he met James Naismith, and Naismith, as we all know, invented basketball in 1891. And so Naismith found Morgan and recruited him to go to Springfield College, actually to play football. And while he was at Springfield, he learned a lot about YMCAs, about training, and so got an offer to come to Holyoke and be their physical education director. So while he was in Holyoke, he was trying to find different ways to sort of work out what's a good way for a businessman on his lunch hour to still get some exercise. And so he came up with volleyball. And he just borrowed from any sport that he could think of. He took the net from tennis, he took the ball from basketball, he took using the hands from handball. He took 9 innings was actually one of the first rules in the game, so it was similar to a baseball game. And the rest was sort of history after that.
The sport of volleyball 100 years ago would hardly be recognizable today. Initially called mintonette, the first 10 rules were vague and given to widely different interpretations. Any number of players could be on the court, patting the bladder of a basketball back and forth across a tennis net of varying height. The game languished in America, but slowly evolved with standardized rules and new playing techniques.
The basic start of it was really through William Morgan and the YMCA, where he was able to get it out to all the other physical education directors in the country just through rule books.
Volleyball became a great communicator of YMCA ideals. Volleyball began its long trek in 1900 when it was introduced to Canada, to Cuba in 1906, to Peru in 1911, Brazil in 1915, and Mexico in 1917. In 1905, volleyball headed east. That year, the sport was introduced to China. 3 years later, in 1908, volleyball came to Japan. In 1910, American YMCA ambassadors carried the sport to India and the Philippines. The game in the Far East soon came to take on a different look. 16 players on a side, in time diminished to 12, then 9. With 3 lines of 3 players, the game became highly specialized.